the fight that we have is not with, I don't know what button to push, right? I don't know how to hold it. I don't know how to hold the phone, so I'm just not doing it. No, guys, that stuff's easy, right? I don't know if y'all heard of YouTube. It's this really cool website, right? Or Google. I don't know if you heard of Google, but it's another really cool website where you can literally type in anything. And there's thousands of videos from like really attractive people with like British voices and Australian voices. They'll teach you how to do anything. So the semantics of video is easy. It's the rest of it that gets us hung up. But we overlook this part, which is why we struggle. So think about this. Because in every room that I speak in, there's always realtors that go, God, video's just not for me. I just don't like it. I don't watch it. And so I want you to think about these two numbers. Every single day, 500 million Facebook users watch video. Is that kind of a lot of people? That's a lot of people, right? And then think about this. 95% is the amount of information we can retain when we watch something versus 10% of what we read. So let's imagine that even at the end of this, even though I will have poured my heart and soul out to you guys, that you're like, I don't care. I'm still not doing this. What if you just looked at your website and you looked at all the pages that are full of gaudy amounts of words that no one will ever give the time of day to? And what if you just recorded a little 2-minute video essentially saying what's on that page and replace those words with that video? The SEO is better because video is performing better for search engine optimization than words are, right? And people are more likely to click and watch a 2-minute video than to look at a massive page of words and get excited about that. So just something to think about. And so let's conquer some fears. These are what I believe to be the 6 greatest fears we all have when it comes to this stuff. Number 1 is you just don't think people will care. Does anybody ever feel like that? I do this for a living, and I feel like this at least once a week. Right? I wake up at least once a week, and I'm like, am I making a difference? Who really cares what I think about stuff? All right, there's so many brilliant people around this planet. There's so many brilliant people in Dallas-Fort Worth. Right? The 2 speakers after me are both brilliant humans, way more brilliant than me. And so I'm constantly struggling with, man, do people really care, or do they just like me because I'm nice? Right? Do they just tell me it was good because I'm nice? And that's a struggle for me. All right, I'll never forget when I spoke at NAR in November, and that was kind of my like coming out party. I've been more of a local speaker, got invited to speak at NAR, did a great job, I think, and then now I'm traveling the country, and I got those NAR, like, I don't know if y'all knew this, but like they give you all your feedback. Yeah, super awesome. And so I got the email and thought, oh my gosh, I don't even want to read it. And there were over 100 comments, and they were all good. There wasn't one bad one. And yet the next day I went to speak and thought, am I doing a great job? All right, so there's no amount of validation that will keep us there. Right? I do not think that we arrive with our ability to do video. It is a constant battle, but it's a battle that I believe is worth it. What about any perfectionists in the room that like you're afraid to mess up? Right? Here's what's hard about real estate. Real estate has been an industry that we always have to put our best foot forward. Right? It's been, up until recently, a suit and tie industry. Right? That's kind of the way the game has worked. But now it's evolving. And because of social media, because of personal interaction, nobody wants to work with the perfect realtor anymore. We want to work with the one we align with. We want to work with the one that makes sense to us. We want to work with the one that we trust. And that doesn't just happen now because of the tie we have on or the dress that we're wearing. Right? And so what I found is it's in our imperfection that people love and relate to us the most. Because are you perfect? Yes, of course. Right? Call my husband. He will tell you that I am perfect. We're not. But here's why the problem exists, because we know we're not. But we don't want to tell people about it. And I've done videos before where I've said, I want to give you guys 3 tips about blah, blah, blah. And I've got to the 3rd tip and gone, What was that third tip? I don't remember what that third tip is. I'm not old enough to be having these issues. And people love it because that's real life, right? That shows my humanity. And so this is a big deal. We've got to get over being afraid to mess up because we're going to, right? My wife reminds me regularly of how often this happens to me. And for some of you, I always turn around when I say this part because I don't want to look at anybody when I say the word old and then you get a complex because I'm looking at you. But some of you just feel too old. I looked at you. and this isn't an age thing, right? I know 30-year-olds that act like they're 80. And my dad's 62, and he's my technician. Like when I buy a new TV, he sets it all up, right? So this isn't about age. But we've got to realize there's no such thing as too old when it comes to video. I tell my parents to get sentimental for a moment. They're 62, they turned 63 this year. And they're two of the most brilliant humans I've ever known in my whole life. And I remind them regularly, Mom, Dad, how sad will it be when you all die? Hopefully not soon, but you're definitely in the back half of your life. And all your wisdom and all your stories go with you. Like, how sad is that? Right? We don't need more millennials. I barely have to claim myself as a millennial. Right? We don't need more millennials out there telling us how great they are and how awesome they are and how much they know about stuff. Right? Me, 10 years into marriage, I don't need to be teaching people how to be married. My parents should be doing that, going on year 43. But they feel insecure there because they think it's a young person's world when I wish it wasn't. Because there needs to be more wisdom and knowledge there. So don't let the I'm too old keep you from being present. Because your people want to hear from you. It doesn't matter how old you are. What about everybody's already doing it? Do y'all feel that way in Baltimore? Because I know every market's different. Do you feel that pressure? So some say yes, some say no. All right, NAR still says that barely 20% of realtors nationwide use video at all. So it's not overly saturated. We may think that because a lot of the people that are here today are your friends on social media, right? So you might see more than the average person. But regardless, you know what there's not enough of? You. Right? That's the beauty of this. Is I can literally do something and then you can do, what's your name?
Brooke.
Brooke, it's nice to meet you. Brooke could literally take my video verbatim and her people will love it. Because those are her people. They don't know who I am. They don't care about me. Right? They would rather see her. And so we've got to understand this. What about anybody feel like, I just don't have the right equipment? Have you ever thought about that? Here's the beauty of video. This is all we need. Right? I mean, unless you're rocking like an iPhone 3. You've got an HD camera in your pocket all the time. Right? This is it. Now, are there things that we can do to elevate it and make it better? Of course there are. Right? There's lighting that we can get. There's microphones that we can get. We can do those things. There's stands we can have. But at the end of the day, God gave us a really cool selfie stick. I've got long ones. Some of you are a little more T-Rex and you got to, just work with what you got. But this is all we need. Because again, right, people want authenticity. I have, because of what I do for a living, I have thousands of dollars of equipment in my office. I have a $1,000 camera that just sits there and does nothing. Because I don't want to always do perfect video, because that makes me unrelatable to people. Right? Because then I stand up here and I'm like, you can do it. And then you go watch my video and it looks like I spent $10,000 on it. And then you go, no, I can't. I do a ton of videos from the front seat of my car when I park, just so we can, not while I'm driving, okay? And the reason I do it is because I want people to see me as normal. Because did you get in the front seat of your car today? I'm relatable, right? That's the whole point. So we cannot get hung up with we don't have the right equipment. And then the last one, which is the most dangerous one, is I just don't think it works. And we will never overcome this if this is the mindset that we have. And this goes for anything in life, right? I've spent my whole life telling everybody that every diet doesn't work, right? And you can even tell me, I lost 100 pounds. I'm like, yeah, it didn't work for me. I lost 50 pounds doing this, but it didn't work for me, right? When the reality is, it's working. I'm just choosing to not let it work for me. And if video is the exact same way. So we've got to be very aware of this simple statement of really thinking that doesn't work. That's really loud, isn't it? Thank you, sir. Do we feel these in our daily thoughts? And this may even go further than just video. This may, for some of you, just be social media, period. Right? It's just a scary place. And by the time me and Marky and Christy get done with you guys today, hopefully a lot of these will be off the board. And so think about it like this. Have y'all ever had coffee with a friend before? Have you ever? Or maybe you don't drink caffeine. Like, have you ever had liquid with a human? Like, you've been in the same room physically with another human and you are drinking liquid at the same time? Right? We've all done this, right? So think back to the last time that this happened for you. Did you wear a ski mask into that meeting? No, of course not. Right? I don't know the gun laws here. You do that in Texas, it's curtains for you. All right? But the reason we don't do that is because what do they already know about us? They already know what we look like. So we don't have this complex of like, oh no, am I about to walk into this coffee shop right now? Am I about to do this like this? No, we don't do it because they already know. All right? Did we borrow Kanye West's auto-tuner? Right? If you didn't know, right? That's what Kanye is known for, is auto-tuning his voice. So that we sound cool, right? Because none of us like, does anybody enjoy hearing yourself? I'd like one person, right? We don't. Do y'all remember before smartphones, when to call to listen to voicemails, you had to call your voicemail? And it was excruciatingly painful to get your code in fast so you didn't have to hear it. And then you're re-recording it every other day because it was so terrible. Or is that just me? Maybe I was the only one. But what do they already know? They already know what we sound like. So even if you have the most annoying voice on the planet, they already know. And they've accepted you anyway, right? And then, because this is what everybody talks about, I would do video. But what do I say? Well, what do I talk about? But again, right at coffee, do you look at your friend 5 minutes in and I'm like, bro, it was so great to see you, but I don't really have anything else to say. But we should do this again. That's not how coffees go. If we said we were going to be there an hour, we were there 2 hours. Because we talked about everything other than what? Our business. Right? Trying to sell them. Now, we may have even talked about our business. But it would have been more from the perspective of a pain point inside the business, right? An excitement about the business. Not a, well, I've got you. Just remember, if you know anybody that wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, I got you. The same people that we're willing to have coffee with are the exact same people that are going to watch our videos. And this is why I go through this silly analogy. As the young person puts her arm around and just starts patting, right?
Her mother.
They're the same people. This truth is the power of video. Because while my dad has built an incredible business, and he did it through appointments, he then had to follow up with all those people and call those people and talk to those people, when all I have to do is stay in front of people with video on a consistent basis. This is why this matters. So, I believe that there's 5 keys to video. And I don't even think we have to nail all 5 of these. I think honestly, if you can do 2 of the 5 right, you're better than 90% of the people that are trying to do video. Because I watch a lot of real estate videos, and they're awful. Right? So even in the 20% that are doing them right now, most of them suck. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word. I used to be a pastor. I didn't tell you guys that. My story. Right? I was a youth pastor for about 10 years. Then I became a roofer. Right? That's a natural transition. Right? Very holy to like terrible. Right? And then I started a company building websites for realtors, which is when I started teaching social media as a way to earn trust, so I didn't just have to cold call people. And then I woke up one day and was like, am I good at this? And then people started paying me to actually teach classes. And so here we are today. So that's my story. And that's so important because the big white one at the end, right, that's the glue that holds everything together. Because if we don't know how to articulate a story, then we're not giving people reason to care. And so I want to break these 5 things down for you. And I also, just so you guys know, if you email me at the end, not at the end of the presentation, you can email me a year from now, I'll still do it. But I'll send you the slides. So you'll have all of them. And so if you want to knock this class off and teach it to your friends, you go right ahead. I will gladly allow you to do that. So before we jump in, I want to show you how to choose to do it differently. Because it doesn't make sense for us to just look at what everyone else is already doing and try to mimic them. Number one, because most of it's terrible. Don't copy them. But number two, you're unique, right? There will only be one you to ever exist on this planet, I guess, unless you're an identical twin. And so we've got to realize that that's our uniqueness. So number one, we've got to give ourselves permission to stop trying to chase perfection. We have to. I was doing a video the other day on our back porch, and because I used to be a pastor, I do some spiritual videos. And so I was kind of getting deep. Right? And I was sitting on our back porch, and here walks my 7-year-old in his whitey tighties just right through the shop. And this is just the beginning, because it gets worse. He proceeds, thank God it was off of the camera, but he proceeds to just pull his underwear down off of the camera, and then you hear him peeing in the grass. And you hear it the whole time. And it's like he drank a liter. I was like, it was never stopping. And so then, on top of that, we have a puppy, and our puppy came out and was barking at the neighbor's dog. And so then my wife runs out in her yoga pants to get the dog, and I'm trying to go, honey, your butt is in the shot. And I didn't care, right? I like it, right? I married her. But I know she wouldn't like it. And you know how you can have this internal dialogue with yourself for what feels like an hour, but it's a split second in real life? And I'm having this whole struggle with what do I do? Should I keep going? Do I just turn it off? And so I just chose to go, you know what, guys, don't act like you don't have a 7-year-old son or daughter or nephew or grandson or daughter that doesn't run around the house in their underwear. Right? This is real life. And what I found was that when those moments happen, it reminds people of my humanity. It reminds people that we are the same. Because for many of you, you've been in this industry for forever, right? So you guys know better than anyone. Real estate's about trust. The moment you earn their trust, the transaction is coming, right? It's over at that point. That's the whole point of sales, is how quickly can I get you to trust me? Because the moment that happens, you'll buy what I offer. And the way we do that is by finding common ground with people, not by trying to act as if we're better than them. Because we always need our hair to be perfect, right? We always need the perfect background. It doesn't work. So we've got to get rid of that. We also have to stop pushing self-serving content. Realtors are the worst at this. And I'm not going to blame you guys because I haven't looked at any of your social media. But if y'all are similar to Dallas-Fort Worth real estate agents, which I'm around every single day, most of them, all they know how to do is new listing, woo, showings, woo, closing, vacation, wine and cheese happy hour, another listing. Nobody gives a crap about any of that stuff. Nobody cares. right? They do not care because it's super self-serving, right? We've got to be creating value for people. And value doesn't come in the form of, well, I was trying to share my listing with them because I thought they would like it. We can't post what we like. We have to post what people want. So we have to get in their world. We have to know what they want. And I'm not saying, right, because sometimes when I speak, people are like, so are you saying we don't ever talk about real estate? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when we talk about real estate, let's educate instead of sell. Yes, ma'am?
I don't know if we can ask questions, but I'm
sure.
So if you had, so say you had a new listing, and instead of focusing on, oh, hey, I've got this new listing, what if you focused on something really unique about it? Like, here's this beautiful, like, wood, winding staircase that goes up. This is my favorite part about this house. Is that
100%.
Is that self-serving?
No.
No, that's
well. So here's what's cool about all this. It is, but it's secretly self-serving.
So it's like stealthy.
Which is what we want, right? Like when I speak, I tell stories of coaching clients. What does that reveal to you guys that I do? That I coach, right? When I speak, I tell stories of like I was speaking in Baltimore and this happened. That reveals to people that I what? That I travel and speak. But what if like the next slide was like, what? Are those my coaching fees? That's crazy. Let's talk about it for a sec. Right? That would be terrible. So what you're saying and what I love to talk through is what I call passive branding. You're just letting your passion for the house lead the way. But what's coming right behind it is the fact that you do real estate. You know what I'm saying? And this would be unique. Not every house has a story. But what if there was a house that you're putting on the market that like had this really cool story? Right? Like maybe it burnt down 18 years ago and it was rebuilt and so like it has this cool, right? There's sometimes stories that are worth telling. And the house is just kind of the byproduct of the story. Right? And so there's so many ways to do this as far as passive branding goes. So just like this, think about the last time you were showing homes. And one of the people that you were showing the homes to, like maybe they asked you a question that you've never been asked before. Does that ever happen? Maybe for some of you that have been doing this like half of your life, you're like, that hasn't happened in 20 years. But for the rest of you, that's happened. Instead of just talking about you showed houses, which no one cares about, get in your car, stay in front of the house, and then you do a video, right? And the video looks like this. Guys, I just got back in the car from showing a house, and the wife asked me a question I've never been asked before. In all my years of real estate, I've never been asked this question. And so I wanted to pose this question to you. What's that video about? The question. But what do we get to talk about already? Our business. Are light bulbs coming on? Is this making sense? This is how we passively brand ourselves. So for you, what's your name?
Brenda.
Brenda. It's nice to meet you. Do you have kids?
I do.
So another way to passively brand is, I don't know if you're like me, but like I feel like a pretty terrible parent most of the time. And so if any of you are super awesome at it, I would love some tips. But you can do a video about parenting. And what? Am I still wearing my name tag? That's crazy. That's passive branding. Right? I could have a Coach Kyle t-shirt on. And I could talk about the Bible. And I get new coaching clients when I do videos about Jesus. It's the weirdest thing. Because people already know what we do. Right? I don't need to remind them like, oh, hey, I know it's been 3 days. I'm a coach and a speaker. Okay, now what were you going to say? Oh, we don't need to do that. People forget we exist. That's our problem. And that's why social media is so powerful. Is I don't need to gawk and gawk and gawk about what I do for a living. I just need to be present in your life. So that the moment your buying decision shows up, there's your video about parenting. And they go, oh my gosh, I almost forgot you were in real estate. Boom. Does this make sense? And then think about this. So this is interesting. This has kind of just come through trial and error for me. But I was doing some research a while back, and if you make $100,000 a year, you're in the top 1% of money earners in the world. Sadly, this is how poor our world is, right? Because I know a lot of thousandaires that make $100,000 a year and are broke as a joke. But it doesn't change the reality that at $100,000, we make more money than 99% of the rest of the world. Here's why this data matters to me. If all I do, which is what most realtors are good at, is just talking about myself and how great I am and how awesome I'm doing, we think that's helping us succeed, when I believe it's creating a divide with 99% of our friends that all it does is remind them that they're not where they want to be. And so we've got to bring uniqueness to the way we speak to success. Because if all it is last week you showed your new listing that was $499, and then 2 weeks from now is your closing photo, we can do the math, right? I don't see that as like, wow, I'm so happy for Brooke, right? I go, dang, you made like 15 grand? Now, you put a lot of work in for that, right? But most realtors don't showcase the work. You didn't do a story of the poop you were picking up before pictures because the owners didn't do it. You didn't take a picture of moving furniture around that living room for it to show the best, right? You didn't show the stack of paperwork it takes to get it into the MLS and let it be active. And so we're telling the public that we don't really do anything, but we make a ton of money, right? That's what we're telling them. We know that's not true, right? Half of you are laughing right now. But shame on us for letting that narrative be like that, right? And what's even scarier is now we've got the Redfins of the world and the Open Doors of the world and all these discount brokerages showing up, right? That says, man, I'll sell your house for $500 as long as you let me help you buy your next one. If you don't have the ability to love people on social media and like be in their world, they will always choose that over you. Because relationship is what trumps that, right? That's what those companies can't offer. So this is a big deal. And then think about this. Do we all know who Coca-Cola is? Coca-Cola, right? We all agreed. We know who Coke is. Even with that being true, last year they spent $5.8 billion on marketing and advertising. They're Coca-Cola. So if they feel the need to spend almost $6 billion to remind us about them, why would we think, oh, I don't need that? I send out an email campaign, right? I have an event once a year for my past clients. I send out a monthly newsletter with my newest listings. Why does Coke need to be in front of us 1,000,000 times a day and we think we're better? Because we're not. So we've got to be aware of this and choose to do it differently. And so here's how we start. By knowing our audience. For most of you, this is the most, even though this is a class about video, this is the most important slide of this entire presentation. Because most of the realtors that I come across the country have no idea who their audience is. Because their answer to, man, who do you want to work with is, I mean, I don't care if they're a buyer or seller, if they can get pre-approved, I'm in. That's not a very good business plan. Because how do we articulate and create content for those people when those people aren't people at all? It's a big blob of people. And so the very first question you have to ask yourself is, if you could snap your fingers, and let's say that Brooke wanted to sell 30 houses this year. If she could snap her fingers and sell 30 houses to the exact same type of person, what would that person look like? How old are they? Are they a millennial? Are they a Gen X? Are they a boomer that the baby finally moved out and they're downsizing? And so you get the sell of the big one and the purchase of the smaller one? Right? Are they VA? Are they veterans? Are they women? Right? Last year, a fifth of all homes sold across the country were to single women. How cool is that? So if you are a single woman, or if you were raised by a single mom, can you imagine the power in that story of the reason I choose to serve the community of women where I live is because I'm passionate about it. Because I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for my mom, who worked 3 jobs, right? Now you have this powerful story to pull people in, right? But with the same token, I have a buddy in Dallas who's a veteran. And he never talks about being a veteran in regards to real estate because he never wants somebody to think he's pimping out the military to make money. And so I'm having these conversations with him going, no, bro, you have to get over that because your friends know your heart. Right? Your friends know your heart. Just in the same way as a former pastor, like I'm not pimping Jesus to try to sell more speaking gigs. I talk about him because I love him. Right? And my people know my heart. And so we've got to look past some of the uniquenesses we have that we've never leveraged in our business. Because who should serve a veteran better than a veteran? Who should help a single woman buy a house better than a woman that knows what being a single mom was like? Right? We've got to be leveraging our uniqueness in our story. And it starts by identifying the audience that's going to click with us. And so I would encourage you to pick a 10-year age range to begin this process. But now here's what's cool. About 1.5 years ago, I was kind of floundering in my business. Like it was fine, but it wasn't great, and it should have been better. And I was struggling to identify the issue. And finally one day I thought, I'm trying to work with everyone, right? I'm trying to tell every realtor in the world that I'm great and I can help. And I quickly realized that message was so vanilla. It wasn't connecting with anybody. And so I looked back and I went, okay, who have I worked with in the past that I didn't like? And it was millennials. Right? No offense, I am one, right? I'm allowed to, bash my own kind, I guess. And what I discovered was, with all the millennials, if I'd say, man, what about this? They'd go, oh no, I don't think that'll work. What about this? Well, I've tried that, it didn't work. Right? They always had a reason for it to not to work. And then I looked at like my 45 to 60-year-old realtors that I knew, and they were like, please, Kyle, help me. I'm so broken, I'm so lost, I have no idea what to do. I'll do whatever you say. And I went, oh my gosh. I'm no longer going to even market to millennials. And I'm going to focus on realtors that are 40, 60 years old. And my business exploded. Because I got specific and intentional with who I wanted to serve. So I got very basic in my tip videos. Because that's where those people were. Right? I had to do videos talking about like how to set up an Instagram profile. Where millennials are like, dude, seriously, this is what we're talking about? And I would politely go, you're not my audience. So don't watch. I don't care. But here's what was cool. The more successful I got with the older generations of realtors, the younger people wanted to work with me anyway. Because we want to work with people that we see being successful the right way. So if you said, I love working with 40 to 50-year-old people on the sell side, you're still going to have people that ask you if you'll help them buy a house. You're still going to have 30-year-olds that ask you if you'll help them buy a house, sell their house, because they're going to see you as an expert. So we've got to be intentional with this. And I have a 90-minute class that I teach just on what I call building your avatar. So we really only get to go like skin deep because there's a million questions that we can pick. Like I'll even get as deep as like what magazine subscriptions would your ideal client have coming to their house? right? Here's how brilliant this is. I didn't make this up, so I'm not brilliant. The activity is brilliant. The exercise is brilliant. Because if you said Us Weekly, right, which is fine, right? That instantly lets us know the type of content we should be talking about on social media. Us Weekly is not full of leadership talks, right, and business tips. No, Us Weekly is talking about The Bachelor, and Tom Hanks and Renee Wilson, or Rita Wilson just got coronavirus today, or yesterday, so that'll be in Us Weekly next week. We've got to meet people where we are, based on who our people are. And so think through just these very simple questions. If you want my deeper dive, I'm happy to send it to you. So just when you email me, just say, hey, will you send me your whole avatar questionnaire? And I'm happy to send it to you. And I'll bill you for $5,000. No, I'm just kidding. I'll send it to you for free. But the one that I want to focus on quickly before we move on is, what are their current struggles? Because here's what I love about what I get to do now, is I get to give people permission to stop being perfect on social media. And so the reality is this: yes, we've all experienced a certain level of success. Some of us for longer periods of time than others. But how often do we experience pain? All the time. And here's the beauty of pain. Whether your dog died or you got a paper cut, we can relate to each other. Right? With successes, we like to one up. What? You just sold that house for $350? Way to go. I just listed one for $450. Like, we love to just throw those little jabs in there with people, right? But with pain, we don't one up each other with pain, right? If you got a paper cut and you're about to have a meeting with me and you're like, man, I got a paper cut getting out of my car, I don't go, suck it up, my dog died last year. Like, we don't do that. Like, that's not how pain works. We resonate with pain no matter what. And so when we can leverage social media at times to speak to the pains in life, the game changes for us, because every single person relates. Yesterday, I spoke in Utah. And so a realtor drove me to the airport. And so I kind of like did an impromptu coaching session without her permission while we were in the car together. And I was just asking her questions. And so I found out through a series of questions that she's been divorced twice. And she sold 7 houses last year. But this year she hasn't even sold one yet. And so I was picking her brain, like, let's walk through those 7. How'd you get them? What'd those look like? And she said, well, one of them I was referred by a divorce attorney. And I stopped her. And I said, that might be it. Because now she's in a really healthy relationship. And I said, Leah, nobody knows divorce better than you. You've done it twice. But now you've got something great. What if you positioned yourself as the divorce realtor? Because nobody knows it better than someone who's been through it themselves. Right? And I could just watch her eyes get big. And you could almost see tears welling up. Because it was like she thought that before, but someone who didn't understand how our world works now thought, no, that's a bad idea. Well, it's not. It's a great idea when it's done correctly, right? Because she's come through that pain and is experiencing pleasure with a great relationship, right? I'm not saying, like, if you're literally serving your spouse's divorce papers tomorrow, like, we should Facebook Live that event, right? That's not what I'm saying. There are current pains that we need to let just be pain, and once we found victory from the pain, now we can speak back to it, right? But this is huge because it's relatable to everybody. And so we've got to get this right. Before we move on, any questions about identifying your audience? Is this helpful? Are we learning anything?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yes, sir.
The one thing that I don't like to do on Facebook is to share the trips that I take.
Okay.
Because I feel like I'm bragging. And I feel like it can create resentment.
100%. If all we do, right? Now, I would argue there's probably truth to both sides of that. If your content overall was authentic, then I think a lot of your friends will go, man, you deserve that trip. Like, you're busting your butt, right? I see you doing it. And so I don't think there would be as much resentment. But if every post was just like listing, closing, open house, wine and cheese, vacation, now it just feels like we're bragging. But there's also times where we can post something about a vacation, but we can tell the story about how 10 years ago you couldn't even afford to go on one, right? And so you're just so thankful that all your hard work is paying off. Right now you're giving me the backstory to help be more excited for you in the present. Does that make sense? When I wanted to announce like my NAR, like getting selected to speak at NAR, and so I wanted to just jump on social media, right, and go, guess what? I'm speaking at NAR, woo! Right, and I just stopped myself. I was like, nobody cares, unless I've given them reason to. Right, so I had to create a backstory of the struggles that I've had throughout my life when it came to speaking to help people appreciate that moment more. And we're gonna talk, I'm gonna unpack that a little bit more here in a little bit. But you also have permission, right, like, because you're the boss. You also can go, I just don't post about vacations. And that's totally fine too. But there are ways, I think, to do it successfully. Does anybody know who Gary Vee is? Gary Vee he's probably the world's most famous entrepreneur. And if you've never heard of him, if you do, look him up. If you have small kids, don't watch him around small kids because he's super passionate about the F word. But other than that, he's brilliant in every way. But he says this: content is the price of entry to relevance. So what we're going to dive into is content. And what I want us to understand is that if your business, as of whatever day, I've been traveling in March so much, I don't even know what this date is. I just know that it's March. It is March, right?
12th.
The 12th. Thank you. We've got to realize that most of us, if our business as of March 12th isn't where we want it to be so far this year, you don't have a business problem. You have a relevance problem. Because you have friends, you have family across the Baltimore area that are thinking about buying and selling homes, and know people that are thinking about buying and selling homes. You're just not present in front of them on a regular basis. So we've got to develop content so that on a daily basis, we can do this at a high level. And here's what's super cool about today. I'm doing more of a high overview, and then Marky, if you guys haven't met Marky, she's incredible. She's gonna like really dig into content, and it's gonna be awesome. So I want to just kind of give you an overview of how I do this. We've got to realize that realtors are everywhere. So how are you going to be different? And so I've given you 12 different ways that I believe you can leverage content as far as topics go. And I could have put a million up there. So think about like friends and family. Here's what this looks like for me. My parents are both super successful entrepreneurs. And so I'll just show up at their house and turn Facebook Live on and almost do like a Where's Waldo? Like, hey guys, I'm at my parents' house. Let's go in and see if we can find my mom or find my dad. And I'll just put them on the spot on camera. And it's funny because my mom squirms and doesn't like it, but she's brilliant. So she always has some incredible nugget to offer people. And people love it. Because we live in a world now where a lot of parents don't have great relationships with their kids. And so people enjoy watching the banter of an almost, of a 37-year-old son that genuinely loves his parents. And those videos crush it with my audience. Because it's such a unique thing, right? There's been other times where I've literally sat down with my dad and done an interview with him. Letting him tell him and my mom's story. And people love it, right? Because it's a father and son on camera. Y'all should be doing videos together. Mother and daughter, right? It's powerful. The second one is super important, humor and fun. What we have to understand, and this is where I failed a lot, because I like to teach, right? I'm a former pastor. So I love teaching, I love equipping, I love educating, which means a lot of my content, if I'm not careful, can get serious. Right? It's 3 tips to this, 5 ways to do this. But 70% of all videos watched on the internet are watched for sheer entertainment. Right? So nobody woke up excited for your market report. Right? I don't want to burst anybody's bubble. But nobody went, ooh, it's March 12th. Is Brooke doing her market report video today? Yes. That's not real life. No one's ever said that. Right? No offense, Brooke. Nobody's ever woke up going, what? Is Kyle going to teach me about leadership today? Yes. No, we wake up and want to be entertained. Right? We want to watch dumb videos of like fat dogs trying to jump over a bench and they flip because they couldn't make it. Right? Or people falling down on ice. We want to laugh. And so we've got to realize no matter where we pick topic-wise, the more we can bring a level of entertainment to what we're doing, the better off we'll be. Right? If you're going to start doing walkthroughs of homes, don't just be, here's the living room and here's the master. Like, make it fun. Be engaging. Accidentally trip on the stairs. Right? Because that's humanizing. Yes, ma'am?
You recommend TikTok?
So, I don't recommend it today. But there's a lot of talk, right, that typically all social media platforms, they start young. Right? Facebook started as a college platform, and then now it's mostly made up of like 40 years old and up. Right? So right now, TikTok's like mainly like 16 to 25-year-olds. Right? Which those aren't people buying houses right now. But Gary Vee, who I mentioned earlier, he's talking about, and he's even done a video to real estate, that you should go invest in some property there because he does believe that age is going to rise, and then you'll already be in prime position to take advantage of it. So it would still be last on my list. So if there's others, like if you're not great at Facebook or Instagram right now, then we need to start there first. But TikTok is coming rather quickly behind. Is that a good enough answer for that? Yeah, and everybody has a different opinion, right? But I just think there's easier places for you to leverage before that's the one we jump into. I'm not going to read all these because you'll have the slides. You're going to be able to do it. But I want to focus very quickly just on 2 other ones. The first one is the very last one, your story. This is the most powerful tool you have because this allows you to showcase why you do what you do, who you are, what you're about, what keeps you going, what you're passionate about, right? That's what's included in your story. And no one can take that away from you, right? That's the beauty of it because it's yours. So if you've never done it, for some of you, come over to the booth in a little bit and let's do a video of you just talking about why you chose real estate. Why? You could have chose anything in the world to sell. Or you could have chose not to sell anything because it sucks most of the time, right? You probably should have just been a teacher, right? But there's a reason why you're sitting in this room. Have you ever articulated that story to people? Because if you haven't, you're missing an opportunity. And so you've got to talk about it. So that's a big deal. Then the last one is interviews. Here's the beauty of interviews. What's your name?
Jen.
Jenny. It's nice to meet you. Let's say I interview Jenny. Jenny's a realtor in Dallas-Fort Worth where I live, and so I choose to interview Jenny. On the surface, Jenny's going to go, man, that Kyle Draper, he's so great. He's so nice. He's going to bring me on his social media, and he's going to let me talk about myself. That's not secretly why I do it. Because the secret sauce in interviews is after that interview, what are you going to do?
Share it.
You're going to share it. And are there maybe a few other Jenny fans that are going to share too?
Maybe.
Right? There's a parent, there's a spouse, there's a boyfriend, there's siblings, there's cousins, there's just high school friends, college friends, whatever, right? And here's the beauty of this. Let's just say 5 shares happen. All of those people now that get to see that have 2 things in common. They love her, and they don't have a clue who I am. And so now I have a whole new group of people that are going, yay, Jenny, you did so good. It was Kyle. I liked him. He was funny, right? His beard was nice, right? Whatever they're going to say, or maybe they hated me, right? It doesn't matter. Here's what's crazy. Because of what I do, right, I can work with people all over the country. If I were to interview a local Baltimore realtor, I would probably pick up a coaching client from Baltimore. Because they would resonate with me, they would like my personality, they would like whatever. They'd go to my page, they'd go, what? He coaches social media? I'm terrible at that. Boom. Now we're in a conversation. This is the power of leveraging other people on social media. So you want to grow your sphere exponentially? Start interviewing people. If you've got one little pocket of the city that you want to crush it in, go interview the coffee shop owner. Go interview the head chef at one of the restaurants. Go interview the woman that owns the boutique. Because they're all going to share it because they're proud of themselves. And you get to benefit as the byproduct. Does that make sense? It's so easy. And the beauty of it too is Judy does most of the work. Right? I just have to ask a couple good questions and then she does the rest. And I just have to look pretty. Right? It's incredible. But this is huge. Because we've got to be present daily with people. So we've got to think of the right things to talk about. And if you have questions, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I'm going to give you guys my email, my cell phone number. Right? I'm not giving you guys a landline that's like my assistant will take care of it. I'm not that cool. So you're going to have a direct line to me. Let me help you if this is where you struggle. Because content is wildly important. And so let's remember this. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, those are called what? Social media. Do we all agree?
Yeah.
It's not called selling media. Did you say a lot of work? That's awesome. Thank you for that.
Anytime.
You've got to bring that to your content.
I know.
Right? I tell people, most people don't even believe this. We'll come back to this in a second. I hate social media. Is that weird that I'm saying that as a social media coach? I hate it. And here's why. I'm not a needy person that needs people to go, ooh, cool shoes, ooh, I like that shirt, ooh, like, yeah, woo. I don't need that, right? I'm confident in who I am. I have an incredible family, right? I don't need that. But I believe in the power of social media. Therefore, most of the time, I grit and bear it because it works. If any of you follow me on Instagram today, I have done so many stories in the last 2 days. It's exhausting. I hate it. I took a freaking picture of my shoes last night on the airplane. And the whole time I'm like, why am I doing this? Because it works. And I put new shoelaces in them. These are new shoelaces too, but these are different shoes. I tagged the company I bought them from, so then they reshared it to their page. It works. And so this is what we have to get over, right? But the reason I was saying this is use that in your content. Guys, I'm gonna start doing more video, and I just gotta be honest, I'm not excited about it, right? Just tell people that. Because that's authentic. And people are gonna go, I love you so much. That's real life. And so I always want people to know, I'm not good at this because I love it. Because there are people that are good at it because they love it. I'm good at it because it works. And it makes me so much money. And I like money because I can do incredible things with it. And so we've got to realize that social media is called social media, not selling media. And so here's maybe where a light bulb moment will happen for some of you. What I believe to be the problem with most realtors for social media is you've been trained through your real estate company on how to sell. And then now we've used social media as an extension of that. And that's why we fail. Because social media was not designed to sell to people, it was designed to be social with people. So we've got to get on there and talk with them, not at them. We've got to build relationships, not just try to create a database. And this is how we do this, all right? So let's very quickly talk about consistency. In my opinion, you should be doing a video a week. Now, take a deep breath, right? This is baby steps. Over half of this room has never even done one, right? I said a video a week and people are already leaving, right? They're like, I'm out. I refuse to be a part of this. Let's start where we are. For some of you, you just need to come over to my booth in a little bit and just do your first video and then create a game plan. That's it, right? Start very simple. Some of you, you may not even need to do a video yet because you've never posted on Facebook, right? You just learned how to spell it today. And so we've all got different places that we need to start this path. But this is where we should end up, at roughly a video a week. I have weeks that I might do 5. And I know, like, I'm that guy. But I try so hard to always make my content authentic and engaging, so I don't think people get annoyed with me. Because I don't end the video with, so if you need a coach. I don't do it like that. And you shouldn't either. And so we've got to be consistent. You need to be interacting with the comments. What this means is, like, let's say you do a video today. Is this still on? Can you hear me?
Yes, still on.
Okay. Let's say you do a video today and it gets 10 comments. The way this works is roughly 24 hours after you do your video, you start commenting on 2 comments per day. And so here's why this is important. Oh, Marky's here. That's Marky. I hear her over there. You know her voice if you know her. That's her right there. You'll get her in a little bit. I'm going to try to talk over her right now. So the beauty of this is, if Brooke does a video, 24 hours later, that video is kind of dead in the newsfeed, right? It's still there, but it's just not being seen by very many people. So if tomorrow she goes back and responds to 2 comments, the Facebook algorithm goes, whoa, we thought that video was dead, but they wake it back up because it got a new comment. It doesn't matter that it was yours. So you see, then the next day you responded to more, and the next day you responded to more, and the next day you responded to more. You'll keep that video in the top of the news feed for 5 days, when most videos last 1. Is that awesome? I've had videos sit in the top of people's news feeds for 43 days. You should be impressed. Like, that's pretty impressive. Okay? And people literally a month later are like, dude, I'm still seeing your video. That's called branding. It works every time when we do this little trick. Also, we need to be using our personal and our business pages. Do we all have a business page? So I try to do some video on my business page, some video on my personal page, right? And I keep it a variety because I never know which page somebody might hit first. So that matters. You also should be sending videos through Messenger every day. Who knows that they have Messenger and they've used it before? Okay? Very quickly. This isn't a Messenger class, but I have another 90-minute class that I teach just about Messenger because it's so important. Messenger it used to be called Facebook Message, right? They separated it from Facebook. Now it's just called Messenger. But there's over 1 billion people on it. That's kind of a lot. That's like 1/7 of the whole world. And I don't need their email or phone number to go directly into their Messenger. You could probably message any human in the Baltimore area that you want to connect with and be connected to them instantly. And so what I do mostly is I will leverage Messenger to send people birthday videos. And I've evolved into where I sing happy birthday to people. I'm a terrible singer, that's why it's great. I pick a funny filter. My favorite filter, it's not on there anymore, but it was a drag queen filter. And so I had like pink hair and blue lipstick and eyeliner. and it just looked ridiculous. And I'd sing people happy birthday. I've gotten new clients, I've gotten speaking gigs because I sent a ridiculous birthday video to people. Because it hits them in a moment that I may not know they're having. Right? Our goal is to be top of mind with people. So you might just need to start with private videos where you're just sending little bitty videos to people on social media. And it's huge. We can do that at the booth today if you want to do that and kind of baby step your way into this thing. And then if you're jumping into the pool of video, you need to go ahead and have a YouTube channel or an IGTV channel, which is Instagram TV. Right? If we're already going to be putting them on different social media platforms, we might as well house them somewhere where people can find them permanently. And so this is how we become consistent with this whole thing. Any thoughts, questions about this? Can someone tell me what time it is? 47? Okay, cool. So there's a famous real estate entrepreneur named Greg. Did you have a question?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I've heard of Instagram TV.
So we could talk after about it. I wouldn't focus there first. Like YouTube's going to be the best place to put it, but Instagram is Instagram TV is Instagram's newest addition, which is their attempt to be competitive with YouTube. Is in a nutshell what it is. Yes, ma'am. So Grant Cardone says best known beats best. We don't need to be the best anymore, right? And that's partially sad. Y'all have young, like 25-year-old realtors, at least in Dallas-Fort Worth. I guess I can't speak for Baltimore because I don't know. But we have young realtors that are so dumb and don't know jack about the real estate industry, crushing the real estate industry. Because they're everywhere. They're running ads, right? They know how to have their face out there. They're good at social media. And so I'm watching all these older realtors that have all the knowledge, all the expertise, all the experience getting passed by because nobody remembers them. But they see this 26-year-old that's done real estate for 3 days and they look like they know what they're talking about. Guys, this is the world we live in. So we can either just keep being upset about it, or we can get in the game. We can get in the game. Who cares if you're the best if nobody knows about it? So you've got to become known, and this is how we do this. So this is what I call content compounding. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to walk you through this in incredible detail, but if you email me, I will send you my one-page PDF that explains this in its entirety. But here's basically what I've done. I call this content compounding. And here's the beauty of this. If you're willing to do the video part, all the rest of it can be done by an assistant or a 13-year-old that you pay in Cheetos and Pop-Tarts. Okay? That's the way I designed it. But it does not work if a video doesn't happen. Right? That is literally the catalyst of content compounding. But in a nutshell, the way this works is, let's say I do a 5-minute video. That video now lives wherever I originated. So let's say I did a Facebook Live, so it's on Facebook. I download the video to my camera roll on my phone, and then I upload it to a website called rev.com, R-E-V. Rev.com is a transcription service. They charge $1 per minute. So how much is it going to cost? Who's listening? $5. Right? 2 hours later, they literally send me a Word document with every word I said. And they'll even exclude filler words. So if I said or and I wasn't supposed to, they'll remove that. They just sent me a Word document with all those words on it. What do I have? A blog. So if you've been the person that's like, I'm not a writer, I ain't got time to do that. Ain't nobody got time for this. You don't need time. You got 5 minutes to do a video. Go to my website. I have hundreds of blogs. I wrote hardly any of them because they're transcriptions from my videos. And so I do a quick edit because sometimes we say things differently than we want them to be read. And then now I've got a blog. Then I go to a website called Canva. Canva. And it is an editing website for dummies, which is why I'm there every day. And you can go in and search YouTube thumbnail. A YouTube thumbnail is, have you ever seen people's videos and like the frozen image before it plays is like that? The YouTube thumbnail protects us from ourselves, right? And so I go in, I make a YouTube thumbnail, then I upload that video to YouTube, I add the YouTube thumbnail, and now it makes me look like I'm a rock star on YouTube. Did you hear what I just said? It makes me look. Guys, we've got to stop waiting to think we're a rock star to tell people we're a rock star. Let's just start doing it, right? And so then now I've got a live video living on Facebook. I've got a blog because now I take that YouTube thumbnail and now it's the cover image of my blog. And so now I'm in written form. I'm in live form on Facebook. I'm now in permanent form on YouTube. And then expert level, now you wouldn't do it with a 5-minute video, but let's say like we did a 30-minute interview. Marky does this all the time. She's great at it. Who's talking in the next room? I can take that 30-minute video, rip out the audio, and now I have a podcast. And it does it like this, right? You upload it to QuickTime Media Player, you say export it as an MP3, which is an audio file, and boom, you have an audio file. It's brilliant. And then the last piece is social post. So I'll read my written word, and you'll read something and go, did I say that? Dang, like that was good. I'm awesome. I'm super smart and funny. And then I'll go back into Canva, I'll create a social post with my quote on it, and then share that on social media. So do you guys see, with just doing a video, how many different places we can put ourselves? And someone else can do it. It's not hard. You just have to start. All right? And then here's the last piece as we're wrapping this up. Number 5, the cherry on top of this whole process is storytelling. If we don't know how to tell stories, we haven't given people reason to care. Right? Like, why should somebody join HCAR if we haven't given them the story behind why this organization matters, behind why this organization empowers real estate agents and makes you better? Right? If the reason is just because we're who's in town, right? Bad answer. We got to tell the stories, right? We got to educate people on why this stuff matters. And so I walk through this process when I'm doing my content. And I know it feels exhausting at first, but it's all about training, right? Like if I were to start training for a marathon today, like it's going to suck at first, right? It's probably going to suck the whole time, actually, just knowing myself. But for sure at first. But this becomes something mental that I just very quickly walk through. So I'm always asking, who's this for? I'm about to do a video. Who do I want to watch? And I will usually speak to those people by name when I'm doing the video. Not literally like Brooke, right? But like that type of person that I want to be watching. Then I'll think through, what need am I solving? Because if I'm just on here to toot my own horn, why am I doing it? So I've had times where like I've almost done a video, and if I'm being honest with myself, it was all about me and there was no value for you, and so I won't do it. Because I never want people to think, oh, Kyle's live again, it's probably going to be terrible. Right? I always want to do my best to create value for other people. So that's the question that I ask. The third question is, what emotion do I want them to feel? Think about your favorite movie. That's your favorite movie because of the emotional tie that you have to it. Whether it's deep or whether it's just funny, right? Because humor is an emotion as well. And so I'm always trying to think, like, how do I want people to feel? I love, like, when I teach this class, there are always people that, like, I see tears in your eyes in certain parts of it, right? That's how I know I've got you. And so we should always be trying to create an emotional experience for somebody. Then I ask, what's my call to action going to be? Now, let's not get this twisted. Call to action doesn't mean, oh, good, okay, good, at the end of the video, then I can say, if you want to go see some houses this weekend, That is a call to action, but that's a terrible one, right? We want to use authentic call to actions based on what we're talking about. So like, let's say that I was reading a book on the plane and I'm going to do a video about it today. I might ask in the video, hey, what book are you reading right now? Put it in the comments because I'm looking for the next book to buy. And so I might get 30 comments of people saying like, man, I love this book and I love that book and I love that book. And now I've got 30 comments to go do my trick on and keep that video in front of people. You guys see how this works? Right? If we're not asking questions in our videos, we're not prompting people to comment. So you'll end up doing videos that no one comments on, and then now you'll just feel bad about yourself. Right? And you'll be less likely to do the next video. So the call to action is huge. And then the last thing is, what platform and in what form is best for this moment? I don't only do videos. I post pictures, I do GIFs, I do memes, I do long posts, right? And I'm always picking what I think is best for the moment. And so this is my flow. And so with this flow, any questions about this flow? Okay. So to wrap up, I want to teach you 2 words about storytelling. Because most of us do this horrifically wrong. The first word is positioning. We can position ourselves in 3 ways with people. We can resonate with them so that they see us as like them. We can lead them to show them that I've been there before, let me help you get there. And then we can challenge people. And we can call you out. Here's the problem that most people have. Most people on social media want to live in the leading and challenging sections without having earned the right to do either one of those by relating. And so here's a simple tip. If you're about to post something on social media and you see the word you in it, change it to we. And it changes the game for everything. Because if I say, Brooke, you need to be better, that's kind of like, whoa, bro, you don't know me, right? But if I say, Brooke, shouldn't we be better? Then it's like, yeah, we need to be better, right? Because we're a team. And it changes the game on social media. And think about how easy it is to just say the word you, and we're not trying to be offensive, but now when you hear it played out, you go, oh my gosh, I say you all the time. And it's rubbing people the wrong way. So we've got to be super careful with that. People have to know we care and that we're like them before we have permission to do either of the other 2. So we've always got to be aware of positioning. I even try, as the social media expert, to not act like the expert, right? I try to act like the consumer because I need you to see me as us being alike. Right? A woman came up to me yesterday in Utah in tears, and she just hugged me and she said, thank you for not making me feel stupid today. And I started crying, right? Because that's my goal. I don't stand in front of people hoping you think I'm awesome. I stand in front of people hoping you see in yourself that you can do this too, right? And so we've got to be aware of the way people see us. But then the next one, I lost connection on my clicker. I'm going to have to come over here. The last one is context. Context is so huge because if we don't give people reason to care, they won't. And so we have to help them get it, right? So this is what, like when Brenda asked the question earlier, right? Context is telling the story behind the post, right? Context is giving people the bigger picture, right? So I'm always asking, like, what happened leading up to what you're about to post? Because here's how we all are naturally. You post a closing photo. Have y'all ever had a closing that, like, the first 2 offers fell through? The wife wanted to pull it out off the market and you had to talk her off the ledge. And so when that closing day comes, you are beyond elated, right? So like you post your closing photo and you are just so psyched. I don't know all of that. All I see is you bragging about how much money you just made. Because I don't understand the context, right? If all I do is just go, I'm in Baltimore today, whoop whoop, I was in Utah yesterday, I'm awesome. Nobody cares, right? I've got to give people reason to care by giving them backstory to how I got here. And so we've got to be asking ourselves, what happened leading up? The second thing is, what do we overcome or sacrifice? Every day, we're overcoming things and sacrificing things to make other things happen. And so let's talk about this stuff, right? Let's say that you do this year at the end of the year. Let's say you win the top producer award in your office. Instead of just posting a picture of you and your trophy, tell the story of how much you sucked in your first year of real estate and how blown away you are about where you are today, and how if you would have known this 10 years ago, you would have never believed it, that you could have become the top producer because of the way it started. Now you're giving people reason to go, you go girl, like man, that's awesome. Does this make sense? You're giving people reason to care. And the third part is, how did they win? Instead of talking about how great you are, tell the success story of your client. That's what makes you look awesome. Right? It doesn't make me look awesome to just talk about myself. It makes me look awesome to tell the success stories of the people I work with. Because if no one I work with is being successful, we might have some issues. And so start leveraging their stories, not just yours. Right? If you've got somebody you buy or sell a house for and they're super energetic, get them on video talking about their experience with you and how much fun you are and how knowledgeable you are. That's going to help you get your next 10 clients. Not, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, for letting me help you buy your new home. It's all about the context. We've got to give context. Any questions about that? All right, so we're pretty much done. I want to encourage you guys to do one thing. I have a free Facebook group where I coach and teach realtors and lenders. And so get in there. I mean, it's free. What do you have to lose, right? And so it's called Top of Mind Selling for the Real Estate Industry. It's on Facebook. It's super fun and awesome, in my opinion. I know I'm biased because it's my group, but I really think it's great. Lisa says, well, she's giving me a thumbs up. I can only assume that that means that she thinks it's great. Or her water's really delicious. I don't know which one is true. But I'd love for you guys to be in there, all right? And I'm not going to spend time on this, but I just launched my very first online course about 3 weeks ago that's super awesome. If you want help beyond today, I'd love to talk to you about it. That's all I'm going to say, okay? And then here's my info. My cell phone, my website, my email. If there's anything I can do to serve your needs, please do not hesitate to ask. Yes.
Kyle, if you haven't already, please get them excited about what you're going to be doing.
We've been talking about it throughout.
All right. Good.
Yeah, so remember, right, we already talked about this. If you leave here without doing your first video, you're not going to do it after you leave. Right? You're not. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. You're not going to. So take action. And let me hold your hand. Like, we won't have to literally hold hands, like, because of the coronavirus. Like, we can touch elbows, I guess. But come over to the booth and let's get your first video done. And let me just give you this last tip. I should have said this already. What I want to encourage you guys to do first is just start recording videos on your phone. You don't even have to post them, right? The pressure of posting is where most people get messed up. Just start practicing. I have so many videos on my phone that I've never posted. But every time I do it, I'm getting better. Every time I do it, I'm getting more comfortable looking at myself. And so if you're going to just wait around and go, man, I'm just not going to do it until I'm good at it, that's not going to work. So just start practicing video. Guys, thank you for letting me come in. I hope this was helpful. If we have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Or if we don't have time for questions, then I'll just hand the mic over to whoever the boss is. Yes, ma'am.
Are you sharing your slides somewhere?
Yes, if you will just email me and just say, hey, dude, I want your slides, then I'll send them to you. Yes.
So I'm a very structured, like regimented person. So
Yeah.
oftentimes I like to say, oh, today I'm going to do a video on this, and then it just doesn't happen. So I want to schedule it into my calendar.
Yeah.
Is that inauthentic? Because a lot of the videos that you've talked about is, oh, when you're in your car on the way to this.
Yeah.
Or can I just plan to sit in my car and do the video that?
It all really depends on you. Like, I'm good at being authentic all the time, even if it's planned, right? But that doesn't mean everybody is. So if you need that structure, then obviously it is what it is, and structure's better. At least if structure means you're going to do it, doing it is better than, well, I really want it to be authentic, so I'm not going to plan it, and then you don't even do it, right? So nobody knows you better than you, and what I would suggest is don't always pre-plan what the video is going to be about, right? Because I could still say, you know what, I'm going to try to do a video between 3 and 4 p.m. tomorrow, but still just kind of let life provide me what I'm going to ultimately talk about. Does that make sense? But at the end of the day, right, just do it, right? Nike gets it right. You just do it. Just go for it. And it's probably going to suck at first. I think some of my first videos, like, people left Facebook. Like, they got negative views, right? And I remember very clearly, for sure, my very first video got 3 views. And my wife goes, why are you doing this? Now she's glad I do it. But at first, I had to lie to her. Because I didn't know. I was like, I think this is going to be good, but I really don't know. So just keep going. Because it's probably going to underperform to what you want it to. Any other questions? Yes.
A comment. I was
Okay.
just stalking you a little bit on Facebook, and your family's beautiful.
Oh, thank
and
you.
Your puppy's adorable.
Yes, I married way up. So she
I love the
contributes
videos. I was
to
watching some of your videos.
the beauty of our children. Thank you. And our dog's cute, but our genetics didn't have to. All right, guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.